change your food, change your life. Hey guys, Tim here coming at you with a YouTube video, and this is one that a friend of mine actually messaged me, and I thought this was a great idea for a video. So shout out to you, friend, which I will keep private because I don't always know if you guys want to be mentioned or not. So let me know if you do in the future. So my friend texted me, and she said, hey, I need to have 120 grams of protein per day. My doctor recommended. This is a great recommendation, by the way. Happy that your doctor was looking into your nutrition. A lot of doctors do not know very much about nutrition. They're not well educated, especially your general practitioner. It's not gonna have very much education in terms of nutrition. I would definitely look elsewhere, find an actual nutritionist, find people like me, other people on YouTube as well to give you advice because they don't really know that much, to be honest. So it's kind of sad, but is what it is with our system. Anyway, don't want to go on that tangent. So her question was, what are the best protein shakes to have at Costco? And the first question I gave her was, well, what's your budget, right? Because you can get higher quality, less processed protein, but it's going to be more expensive. So the first question you have to ask yourself is, what is your budget, right? Do you need to go with the cheapest possible option? Can you afford higher quality stuff? That's option number one. Now, if you can afford, I'm going to go with this video with the idea that she can afford some higher quality level things. And so that is kind of what I'm going to base most of my analysis on. So we're going to go down the line. We're going to check out all of these. And what we're focusing on is the ingredients involved, because guys, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't actually eat or have protein shakes anymore. I stopped a long time ago. I stopped about a year ago. I just stopped having protein shakes. Now, I'm not against protein shakes, okay? But the problem is protein shakes, drinks are typically highly processed, okay? I'm someone that likes to have the least amount of processed food possible. So I'm always gonna try to get my protein sources, fish, ground beef, pork, all that stuff. Great sources of protein, especially if you can get grass-fed type animals, right? Not processed meats that have nitrites and things like that. There are different categories of meats and how they're treated and what the animal is fed. And that's a video for another day. But with that being said, let's break down some of these options here. So one of the best ones, I would say, actually, no, I'm gonna leave the best one for last. So let's start with the powders, okay? So again, I don't consume these anymore. Would I never consume them? I mean, I'd still consume them sometimes. It's not like the end of the world. But we're looking at the ingredients, and one of the first things we notice here is that we've got artificial sweeteners, right? And these type of things are always gonna have artificial sweeteners, usually sucralose or acesulfame potassium. They're also gonna have things like gums, like xanthan gum, which can irritate some people's guts, etc. So, but honestly, not terrible. You know, again, you are having artificial sweeteners, which I'm not a big fan of, but at the end of the day, you know, you gotta compromise where you need to. Some people really like how quick and convenient and easy protein shakes are, and so they need that. And so you have to make a sacrifice there. I'm not a big fan of artificial sweeteners. I think they should be eliminated from most of our diets. Most of the time, they do increase your insulin resistance, which can make, you know, it makes it harder for your cells to basically take the insulin out of your bloodstream and use it, right? And you don't want insulin in your bloodstream. Insulin in your bloodstream is going to prevent you from losing fat. So you want your insulin to get absorbed quickly. You don't want your pancreas to have to make a ton of it to get it into the cell. And when you have artificial sweeteners, that's what's happening. And if you have too much sugar in general too, that's also what's happening. Your pancreas just has to work way too hard, and that's where you develop diabetes, which is a more and more common nowadays. So, but anyway, not terrible. And again, I'd say for the price, it's pretty good. It's pricey, but you're gonna get a lot of servings out of this. Obviously, you're gonna get probably, how many servings? 80 servings, right? So from the price, you know, $64 for 80 servings, that's pretty good. So that's one that's probably a little on the cheaper end, but still pretty good. Here's another one, Ascent protein. This one is actually gonna probably be a little bit, there's only 58 servings, a little cheaper, but it's gonna be a little more expensive per ounce, right? So it's more expensive per ounce for the Ascent Whey. And if we look on the back, let's take a look. We have, so this one, we have stevia as the main artificial sweetener instead of those other ones. So I would definitely rate this one higher. Again, stevia is not the, it's no consequence whatsoever with using stevia. But I do believe stevia is better than sucralose, acesulfame, potassium. So I would say this one, although it is more expensive, which you kind of have to pay for in these scenarios, this one's actually better in terms of the quality overall. So Ascent gets a higher rating here than the Whey Optimum, but again, going to be a little more expensive. We look at something here. this one, and this is a new one I've seen lately, the My Clear Whey Isolate. This one, if we look, we've got whey protein. We do have the sucralose and the alkaline potassium again, and silicon dioxide, which is an anti-foaming agent, so kind of a, just an extra chemical in there that we don't want in our bodies. This one is going to be 35 servings for $26.87 an ounce, so it's a little more expensive. I'd probably go with the Ascent Whey over this, just based on those ingredients alone. I'd rather have the stevia as opposed to the aspartame, potassium, and the sucralose. That's just me personally. All right, I'm about to piss some people off. So next up, we have the plant-based proteins. I don't eat these, guys. I'm not a plant-based person. I don't really believe in it. I think that it's, from the studies that I've seen and the people that I trust, regular animal protein is just way more bioavailable, right? You have to eat a ton more plant protein to get the same amino acids you would get from protein from animals. So I never eat this. I used to, not anymore. I don't see the point when I can get better quality protein from animal sources. So again, but if you're into this sort of thing, totally fine. If we look here, we're getting 24 servings. So 24 servings for $33. That's expensive. We don't like that. If we look at the ingredients, it's usually not going to be all too bad. Going to be a lot of different, rice. Oh, but here we go. Look at this. Looks like the second or third ingredient is going to be high oleic sunflower oil. So this is a big no-no. We do not want sunflower oil in our protein powders. We want to avoid vegetable oils at all costs. And what you're going to get with these plant-based ones, not only are they pricier, not only is the protein less bioavailable for you, but on top of that, guys, they're going to include sunflower oil or canola oil, different oils. So this is like a big no-no. Like, why waste your money? Why waste your time? I know I'm going to piss some people off, but too bad. Like, that's what I believe. So honestly, I would just ignore those. I am a big fan of collagen because of how clean the protein usually is. So for example, we look at this one, we can see that there's literally, like, it's just collagen. Like, that's it. Like, there's literally, they don't put any artificial sweeteners in these. So actually, I used to have a lot of collagen protein, and I would just flavor it up myself with fruits, honey, all sorts of stuff like that to give it flavor, because obviously just trying to drink the collagen straight is going to not be very enjoyable. So, but again, I highly recommend. Again, this one is going to be your most expensive, $1.25 per ounce. So you're really paying up for the cleanness of the collagen, no artificial sweeteners, none of that extra junk in there. So if you can afford it, I highly recommend collagen protein. Has beneficial in other ways. Okay, so those are the powders you can get that you mix and such. Now we're gonna move on to the milks, the ones you buy in the individual containers. Now these are going to be even more processed. So if you can afford and you have the time to do the ones that you might have to blend it up in the bottle or whatever, I'd recommend it. It's going to be cheaper. It's going to be less processed. These are going to be even more processed, and typically they're going to have things like sunflower oil, which I believe, if we look at this muscle milk here, let's take a look. So yeah, it does say less than 2% of, but we do have, again, hyaluronic sunflower oil. We have artificial flavor. We've got, sunflower lecithin, potassium chloride, different preservatives, right? You can see it right on there. So, and then we still have the sucralose as well. So again, I guess if you want something super convenient, you can go with these more bottled ones. And we're going to go through all of them so you can kind of see which one is the best. So muscle milk, not that great. $1.26 per ounce isn't terrible. Yeah. Hey y'all, want to interject on this video really quickly. So if you notice, the $1 per ounce on the bottled stuff is way cheaper. 12 cents per ounce as compared to 70 plus per ounce. But we have to remember the main ingredient in these bottled stuff is water. So you can't really rely on the per ounce as accurate in terms of how much quantity of the actual protein you're getting. You're paying for water when it comes to the bottled stuff. So even though it appears less expensive per ounce, it is still far more expensive per the actual protein, the true substance, because water's free, guys. You can buy that anywhere you want. So remember that. All right, guys, so let's take another look at another one here. So we have Orgain, which looks like 30 grams of protein in these bottles. And if you look at the ingredients, we can see that there's less than 2% of, you guessed it, guys, sunflower oil. Now 2%, less than 2%, that's decent, right? That's it's better than some of the other ones, right? It's all just better or worse. We're not saying good or bad, just better or worse is how we're looking at things here. It also has the stevia instead of the other artificial sweeteners, so I definitely rank this one a little bit higher in terms of quality if you're going for the bottled proteins, the pre-bottled proteins. We look at something like Premier Protein, and this one actually is less than 1%, so we're getting a little better here of that same hyaluronic sunflower oil and soybean oil. We do have our natural and artificial flavors. We do have sucralose and aspartame potassium, so here we're getting the trade-off because we're getting more artificial sweeteners in this one, or we're getting the healthier stevia option here, but we are getting less sunflower oil in there, so it's kind of a trade-off between the two. I'd probably go with the Orgain over. There's just a lot more ingredients, a lot more preservatives and stuff in that one. The 1% difference is not going to make that big a difference. I'd go with that one instead. Obviously, it has some different flavors. They're all pretty much the same ingredients there. People are probably looking at me like, what the heck's this guy doing? So now we come to the one that I would highly recommend, that is the best in my opinion. That's going to be Fairlife, guys. Fairlife is great. It's a milk that, instead of being pasteurized, is actually just filtered, which again still does take out some of the nutrition. It's not perfect. I'd much rather have raw milk, but it is better than pasteurized milk. So I'm a big fan of Fairlife. I actually drink quite a bit of Fairlife myself. It's usually delicious. It's actually a pretty high protein content, which is nice. And we look at the ingredients, guys. The beautiful thing, no sunflower oils at all. No sunflower oils. We do have, unfortunately, sucralose and aspartame potassium, as well as stevia. So it does contain, unfortunately, those artificial sweeteners, which I like to avoid, which again was, I would definitely go with the powdered stuff over this stuff if you can. But if you desperately need the convenience, then again, not terrible. It's less than 1% of those, 30 grams of protein, very high protein content, which is great, but that's not the main focus here, guys. Ingredients are the focus on my channel. And that's what we need to be looking at before we look at macros. So that is probably the best one I would recommend, the Fairlife. I think there's one other Fairlife around here. Here's Fairlife. I think it's the same thing, just a little bit smaller. It's the Recover protein shake. And it's probably gonna be the same ingredients pretty much. Yeah, same ingredients. So I'd still recommend Fairlife as the best. Again, it's an animal protein, which is better than plant. It's not pasteurized, it's filtered, which is better. Not as good as raw, but better. It does have, again, those artificial sweeteners, which I don't like, but it doesn't have any sort of vegetable oil. So I definitely would rank this number one if you can afford it. Again, it does tend to be a little pricier. So if you like to have protein shakes and powders, you're not gonna be able to avoid the sweeteners. Just is the reality of it, unless you want to pay up and you want to flavor it yourself with collagen, which I'd recommend. And then second is going to be actually this Ascent whey protein. Again, they're using the stevia instead of the other stuff, which is better. It's decently priced as well, not terrible. But yeah, but guys, personally, I don't drink any protein shakes really. Every once in a while, maybe if I'm in a rush or if someone gives me one, so I'll take one, but I'd much rather consume my protein from actual food sources. As you guys know, I eat a pound of ground beef every single day, and I love it, and I'll probably do it the rest of my life, to be honest. So I get in almost 100 grams of protein a day just based on that 1 pound of ground beef, and then of course I do eat other things to get more than that. But if you want to have protein shakes, protein powders, nothing wrong with that. Just make sure you are checking for your ingredients and make sure you're going animal over plant. I know some people disagree with me on that, but hey, we can agree to disagree. It's totally fine. But yeah, guys, those are my. Oh, wait, actually, here it is. Okay, so this is what I used to have all the time. Oh, I just found it. I don't know why. Like, there's only a couple left. So I used to do this all the time. I used to have the Vital Proteins. Again, this is pretty expensive stuff, but you get 20 grams of collagen. Literally nothing in it other than the collagen. Just collagen peptides. Literally, that's it. So it's like the cleanest form of protein you can get, and great for your skin and nails, etc. So that's what I would recommend. I don't know why. That must be like the last two they have left here, but. Yeah, so those are my breakdowns of the protein offered at Costco. So do what you will with that information, and I will make sure to eat real, guys, and I'll see you on the next one.